And now, Coast to Coast RIA presents the Experts Corner with Pete Asmus. Now, get ready to go make something happen, because in this series, it's all about actionable information with different experts, strategies, and solutions from around the country. You won't be able to help but catapult your life into a new direction. So get ready, because we are about to begin.
And now from coast to coast, your host, Pete Asmus.
All right, and here we are. Tonight is February 24th. It is Monday night, and tonight's focus is all about assisted living facilities. And I brought on our expert in that field, who is Gene Guarino. And the reason that I wanted to do this specific one tonight, because it was kind of last minute, is because we do have a training that's coming up in Phoenix. And I've had a lot of people ask me over and over again, hey, what's it like? What's it like? What's it like? And instead of me spending an hour to an hour and a half on the phone with all these different people, what I thought would be awesome is if I brought Gene on and I actually interview him and have him do his presentation too. So it's going to be kind of this, mash pot of everything. And we're going to have fun tonight, though. That's going to be the real intent, is to get you guys to understand how to get started in assisted living facilities, how you can get to the next level. And, obviously, would coming to a live training help over, trying to do this through webinars and everything else? Well, yeah. So we're going to focus a little bit on that tonight as well. What happens at the live trainings? What goes on? What can you expect when you arrive, and what we're going to do there? So with that said, I want you guys to be excited about what we've got going on. There's a lot of information that's gonna happen. So make sure that you get out a notepad, get out something to write with. Also realize that this is being recorded. So we will have this up, and it'll be in a podcast, and it will be in a video for you guys to be able to download as well. And we will also have a special thing at the end here. So make sure that you stick around for the entire time. Now, with that, Gene, did you get all your stuff set up now?
I am really close.
Okay. All right. Well, perfect then. When you let me know when you're ready, okay? And I will let you guys know that we are going to be having a training in Phoenix the 9th, 10th, and 11th. We have a few people in it right now. We only have a few spots left. I think it's 3. So if you guys are listening right now and you're thinking, should I make a decision? Should I go for it? I'm going to tell you right now, everybody that has come has loved the training. It's really about changing your life, because I don't want you to think that you're going to come to this training and it's something that's normal. It's something like everywhere else that you've been, that, we come in at 9 o'clock or 9:30 or 10 o'clock. Some of these guys are crazy and they don't show up till 10 o'clock, and then they're out of there by 3. And you're wondering, like, what in the world is going on? I've got all this free time. I don't understand. So we made it completely different than that. In fact, if you want, you could end up staying out with us. Last trip, we were out till I think midnight the first night, like midnight the second night, hanging out with the people that came to the training. Because to us, there's not this big difference. We want to create opportunities. We want to create relationships. We want to create long-term focus. And so that won't happen in a short-term time frame. You can't, there's no way for you to get to know people really by doing it part-time. And so when we go to these trainings, we focus on you guys for the entire 3 days. We're there. We are in the trainings. We're driving around with you. We're doing everything. And then afterwards, we're going out to dinner with you. And we usually, we've gone to ball games. We've gone to a balloon and wine, maybe not wine. It was a balloon festival. I don't know. I think there was drinking involved. There was fun involved. It was a balloon and fun festival. Man, I've seen a tumbleweed Christmas tree. Like who does that? First of all, I don't understand the whole concept with the tumbleweed Christmas tree, but it was awesome. And it's all about bonding. And everybody that's been on our trainings, when they've left, they leave with real relationships. It's not like when you go to a training or something, there's 400 people there and you leave and you still don't really know who was even there, let alone what they were talking about. So there's a lot of aspects that are different. And we also, we focus on mindset. We focus on making sure that you understand that this is a consistency thing. Doesn't matter what strategy you guys do. It's going to always have to do with consistency. You got to keep going, keep doing it over and over and over. And so some of the stuff that we're going to share with you guys tonight is awesome because you're going to be able to go and actually implement some of these things. You want to find out about can you have 10 beds or can you have only 5 beds? Is there any kind of limit? After tonight, you're going to be able to go and find the right resource to get that question answered. For us, it's not about the lack of information. Look, we could go on for literally 3 days on this thing talking about all the information, but you have to realize too that when you go out on the live trainings, the reason that those impact you in such a great way is because you're actually emotionally tying to the event and you're physically seeing it. So you're going out, you're looking at these homes, you're seeing, okay, wait, this is really, it's a home. It's I mean, it's a bigger home, but it's a home. This isn't what I anticipated it to look like. Every time we've brought people through, the biggest thing that we hear is, man, I never thought it was like this. And it's not bad. It's just different because we have this preconceived notion of what these homes are supposed to look like, what these homes are supposed to smell like, what these homes are supposed to be like. And the reality is they don't have to be that way. Everything can be different. It can be how you want it to be. And more importantly, it can be done the right way. You can do good and do well. And so one of the great things about this live event is that you actually get to bond and connect with people that are doing this strategy. You get to meet all the different people, all the pieces of that puzzle as well. So there's a lot of cool things we're going to be going over tonight. And I hope that you're excited. You should be excited because I'm excited. And man, if I'm excited, then hey, let's make this happen because look, and I just think everybody should know that. So with that, Gene, are you ready to go now?
I am ready. You gonna flip it over to me?
I'm gonna pass this over to you. I've got one other thing to say.
Winning is not a sometime thing; it's an all the time thing. You don't win once in a while, and you don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit.
Winning is a habit, and with that, Gene, I'm passing the buck, bud.
All right, awesome, Pete. Let's make sure you can see me there. How's it look?
I don't see you yet. I changed presenters, I thought. Let me attempt to do that again. Nope. Yep, you're the presenter. So
show my screen. Let's see what I got to do. There's probably one more button I got to press. Show my screen.
Yeah, you have to press the screen thing on the left side of where it says screen sharing up at the top. You have that little orange arrow in, and then you have the microphone, the video camera, and then that little square is your screen. You got to press that button.
Oh,
there you
another
go.
button.
Waiting to view Gene's screen. Should be coming up in just a second. And Vicky says, I see your picture.
There you go. That's got to be it.
Are you guys good now? Can you guys see? Gene's, I can't see your screen still. I'm seeing, but maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Maybe you've got audience view or something. Oh, I should be able to do that. Audience view. No? It still says the other. Show my screen. How about this? I had to. Now everybody can see it. Now we're good, aren't we?
I can't see your screen still.
Go to audience view on the top there. Click on that. Because when I press that, they can see me.
Oop. I don't see audience view.
It's in right on the top right-hand side under File View Help. Underneath that, first thing, audience view. And you may not have it.
I don't think I have it. I don't. But I just want to make sure that everybody can see. Okay, Bambi, you say that you can see. Can you guys see Gene's screen or
a picture
yes
of
no?
Gene? It says Gene Guarino on the top.
Yes. Okay. Never mind. Keep going then. I don't know why I can't see it, but oh wait, it's because it's on a different screen. Hello. All right. I'm good.
It's because you're a Mac user. That's why.
Yes. And
they're so complicated they confuse you.
Yes, I agree. Okay. And with that, Gene Guarino.
All right, everybody, thank you so much. I don't know who has had a chance to hear the different presentations that I've done in the past, but tonight we are going to focus on the live training itself. But I also do want to just make sure you have the background so you understand where I'm coming from, where this industry comes from, and when you come out to see it live, it'll make more sense to you that way. So I've been doing real estate for a long time, since the age of 18, and that's over 30 years. My first residential property was the age of 18. First commercial property was the age of 25. I've had 16 businesses over the past 35 years. Professional musician, record label, real estate. I'm a certified financial planner in the U.S. as well as in Australia, and I've trained over 250,000 people worldwide, and I've had the privilege of mentoring thousands of people how to be successful in real estate and investing and stock and so on, and it's just been a real privilege. I've written 4 books, hosted 2 radio shows, been married for 28 years, and I've got 4 wonderful kids. There's a picture of my wonderful wife. And I've got my very first grandchild. So my grandbaby and Pete's youngest can be best friends right there.
Yes.
So there she was on her absolute birthday on the left there, and then as she grew up a month or 2 later, and she's about 5 months old now, and it's just wonderful. And I'd like to start here because we're going to talk about assisted living, which tends to do with elderly people who are, closer to the end of their life than the very beginning. But it's kind of like we start off in diapers and end up in diapers. So that's a little joke. I appreciate that. But anyway. I'm going to go through a lot of information, and feel free to take notes, but I want you to get the big picture. 77 million baby boomers. There's going to be 10,000 people a day turning 65 for the next 15, 20 years. About 4,000 people a day turning 85. And that's a key number, because when you're 85 years old, if you're not ready for a nursing home, you might need some help and just can't take care of yourself 100% at home, and that's where assisted living comes in. It's a real opportunity to help a lot of people. And as this demographic just continues to grow because people are having less kids in their family, and in addition to that, we're living longer through better health care and so on, the demographic of older people is just exploding. So the question really is, how can you benefit from this megatrend, this huge opportunity? And what we're going to talk about here tonight is owning and operating an assisted living facility, and really a care home, and I'll define the difference in a minute. Now, you could just own the real estate and lease it to the assisted living facility. You could be a lender, and that's a real fast way to make money too. Be a lender on the real estate, lease it to the assisted living facility. You could be a lender on the real estate and on the business, or you could just invest funds in a fund of funds that now invests in assisted living facilities. But again, we're going to focus on the top one, owning and operating an assisted living facility. Now, this right here, a friend of mine who is also in the business of assisted living facilities sent me this, and this is really interesting because this group right here, they're acquiring other assisted living facilities. And this right here is basically saying that they paid a good chunk of change, $7.1 million, and they're acquiring 55 units. So if you break that down, that's about $130,000 per unit. Now, I say that to you because if you have a home that's licensed for 10, the equivalent is they paid $1.3 million for it. And I'm saying that to you because some of you may be thinking, well, I'm a big picture person, and how can I really do this and really cash in big? Well, how about if you put 5 or 10 homes together and then sell it to a hedge fund of some sort? That might be your exit strategy. Now, we can come back to that, but how big are these facilities? Well, a nursing home is not what we're talking about. That's a large medical facility. Independent living communities tend to be where it's a 55 and older, where the groups of seniors live nearby each other, but they take care of themselves, or they may be in a building that looks like an apartment, feels like an apartment, but they're shared dining and family rooms and so on. That's not what we're talking about. And then true assisted living facilities tend to be larger, 40, 60, 80, 100. Well, we're really going to focus is on this one. You see it in bold and gold right there, assisted living care homes. So this is a single-family home in a neighborhood that might have 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 residents living in it. That's what we're going to focus on. That's really our niche. So the common questions that always come up, can I do this if I'm not in the medical field? And the answer is yes, because this is a non-medical facility. It's a home. It's a residence. Some of you are thinking, can I use my own home or maybe a rental property that I have? And the answer is maybe. I'm going to share with you, we can talk about that, Pete, some of the best types of property that are good for this. And what about liability? Well, anything you do does have liability involved, so you need to mitigate that liability and protect yourself. We can talk about that later as well if you'd like. And then the big question is, how much can I make? I mean, really, that's the focus that everybody wants to focus on. How much money can I make? And that is a good question, so we will go through that in some detail by looking at case studies. So here's a big number, 10,000. 10,000. Now, you heard it already tonight, 10,000 people a day turning 65 for the next 15, 20 years. It also happens to be the amount of money that you could make on a monthly basis just by doing one assisted living facility. Now, if you just did one and made $10,000 a month, for most of you, that would be all you need to do. Your life is set. Life is good. You don't have to do anything else. You have choice to do more if you want. But this is an opportunity that, either you're going to take advantage of it or it's just going to wash over you and onto somebody else. And we talked about the 80 plus, that age group right there. It's the fastest growing segment of the total population. Those who are 80 and over. Their growth rate is twice that of those who are 65 and over, and almost 4 times that of the total population. In the U.S., that represents about 10% of the older population, and it's going to more than triple from 5.7 to over 19 million by 2050. Those are just enormous numbers, and it's massive growth. Men versus women. When we're born, men there's a few more men born for every woman, but it's pretty much all downhill after that. By the time they're 20, 29, it's 1 to 1, and before you know it, the guys are dying off and the women are outliving us. So in a typical care home where there's 10 people, you might have 3 men and 7 women. Those would be typical numbers right there. So I just want to give you an idea, but it's really not numbers and charts, it's people. This right here, this is Lois. She's been with us for about 7 years in one of the homes, and it's just wonderful to have her there. I was in there visiting just the other day and saying, hey, why don't we paint your room? What do you want? What kind of curtains would you like? What kind of flowers would you like? And I really look at this whole business as a way to help other people. When Pete said do good and do well, I love that concept because, my mom is 89 years old, and I would hope that others would be taking care of her, but I don't know. And I want to help every way that I can, but she's not going to move out to Arizona. She lives in upstate New York. But if I can provide a home for other people, it's somebody else's mother. So the way I look at it is I'm going to provide a home that I'd be proud to have my own mother there, and if it's good enough for mom, it's good enough for everyone else, and it's something that I can be proud of and help. Now here we have Bob on the right and Bob on the left and Bob on the top, the 3 Bobs right here. But Bob on the left with the green shirt, he's a fireman, and he can't take care of Dad at home by himself. So he's so thankful to have us to help take care of Bob. So Bob, and then here we have Hortensia in the center with her daughter and her son right here, 97 years old. 97 years old. Isn't that cool? So we have somebody who's going to be turning 100 this August. So that's pretty cool, too. Looking forward to celebrating that birthday. So do good and do well. That's really the theme for all of this. And what is an assisted living care home? It's a group residence for seniors providing assistance in their activities of daily living, or ADLs. So it's everything from laundry to food to brushing teeth and so on. Some people need more help than others, but that's really what it is. It's not a nursing home like this where it's large and institutional, and it's not the Golden Girls where people are living in a home independently taking care of themselves. It's somewhere in between. And what it looks like is a normal home in a normal neighborhood. These are all assisted living facilities in different areas of the U.S. So you can see they have something in common. They're all single level. Doesn't mean you can't have 2, or the one on the bottom left does have a lower level, but very commonly single level. It's a certain square footage, and we can talk all about the details of that, but you can do this. And even one deal can make you a lot of money. So let me just run through some numbers. $3,000 per person per month. That's kind of an average, and that's the number I'm going to use for tonight. I didn't just pull that from air, by the way. It really comes from a lot of study and research, but this right here is the latest numbers for Genworth Financial 2013. The average assisted living, 1 bedroom, single occupant, $3,450 per month. Now you can see right next to it, it says $9,500. There's people that are paying $9,000 and $10,000 per month per person to live in a certain home. On the left, it says $718. I don't know of any place that's $718, and I wouldn't run the business if it were. It just wouldn't make any sense. But at $3,400, we can make some good money. So if you have a home that is licensed for 10, and oh, by the way, just to kind of give you, these are the lowest states, the ones that are the least in regards to private pay, not insurance, but private pay. It's all the way down in Missouri at $2,287. And the highest state, so if you're looking to move someplace and maybe do assisted living facilities, this should give you a great idea. Washington's great, Connecticut's great, Delaware's great, New Jersey, and on top of the list this year is Alaska, $6,000 a month. Imagine having a house licensed for 10, collecting $5,000 or $6,000 per person on average.
Did you say if you're
now,
looking to move
this is the map
somewhere?
showing you the whole U.S. Yeah, like if you're saying, hey, I'm going to relocate from California, maybe I'll
to
go to
Alaska.
Washington, right?
I'm going to go to the #1 assisted living facility state. I'm moving to Alaska.
I think I'd pick Washington or Jersey before that.
I think I would too. I just thought that was funny.
Hey, you never know. Somebody may love fishing and ice and cold. I don't know.
Ice and cold, yes, and that's what
Yeah.
I just can't imagine. Anyways, okay, I'll
Different
let you get
strokes,
back.
different folks. But you can see the map right here. So no matter where you live, this is happening. And I just want to make sure you understand that. I'm in Arizona, but you can do this any place in the country. Pete's in Cali. You can do it in Alaska. You can do it any place. So you can do it. You can do it any place in the country and actually the world, but we're just going to stick with the U.S. for tonight. And when I say $3,000 per person per month, let's say you have a home that's licensed for 10. So it says licensed for 10 beds. Licensed, there's a word that means there's government regulation, right? We need a license. It's not as difficult as people make it out to be who have never done it. And by the way, I just want to say that if somebody's never done something, they're always going to say, oh, you shouldn't, you can't, you won't, because they've never done it. You need to talk to somebody who's done it before to say, well, here's what to do and here's what not to do. Here's how to save yourself time, and here's how you get it done. So go make something happen is really important here. You got to deal with people who are doing it, not poo-pooing it and saying, well, you can't, you shouldn't. So here it is. If it's licensed for 10 at $3,000 per head, that's $30,000 gross income each month. Now you are going to have expenses, and those expenses, we'll call it overhead, are the typical expenses that you would have in your own home: cable, internet, phone, newspaper, food. Now it says activities for residents. We actually bring in a yoga expert. We bring in people who sing songs, bring in pet therapy. So activities for the residents: landscaping, pool, utilities, maintenance, marketing. So marketing is where we're getting the word out, spending money to let other people know so residents come into the home. Caregivers, you're not the one who's going to be taking care of them. You're going to hire people, certified caregivers who will take care of them. A facility manager, again, it won't be you. It'll be somebody else who's certified as a manager to go ahead and run that home. You're going to be the business person. Workman's comp, business license renewal, property taxes, liability insurance, property insurance, and so on. All of those expenses, typically, that might be about $15,000. Now, if all of my expenses are $15,000 and my gross income is $30,000, still leaves me a lot of room, a lot of money left over, and there's only one expense left that I hadn't talked about. And that would be for the real estate, because this is a real estate related business. It's not something we do in a hotel. It's real estate. So if you own it free and clear, you have no expense. If you lease it, it would be a lease payment. If you buy it, that would be called debt service. So I'm just going to put in the number, a big, huge number, $5,000. My guess is you buy a very nice home, or you could rent a very nice home for that $5,000. And that would leave you $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year. So you can see from a business aspect, you can make a lot of money and you can help a lot of people, because it's not just the 10 residents you have in your home, but it's the family, the extended family, the people who come to visit. It's a really, really wonderful business. You can really make a lot of money and help a lot of people, do good and do well. Now the homes themselves, and I'm going to show you some pictures of one that we saw on our last, we did a training in December, right, Pete? And we went out and we saw a bunch of homes, and homes that were existing, homes that were for sale, homes that were operating, homes that were being renovated. And I'm going to show you some pictures of those. But think of it this way. There's 5 levels, 5 levels. Level 5, the high end, mansion, beautiful home. Now that's not an assisted living facility. That's actually Rod Stewart's home, Maggie May. Now,
Well,
he
that's
is of
still
age. He's
assisted
about
living. He's like, what, 90?
Yeah, but he has like his own private chef, his own nurse, his own masseuse, I'm sure. So it really is assisted living, but it's on a different level. So, but that's
Right.
the high end. The low end would be here, trailer park, 3-level trailer park. But now I'm not going to suggest that you focus on either of those, because I really do believe the sweet spot is level 3 and level 4. And I'll show you what I mean in just a minute when we get into the different pictures of what we saw recently. One of the big questions that always comes up, though, is, how can I finance this and how can I put it all together? Well, here's a question I want to ask first is, can you actually make money? Make it. We all talk about making money, but reality is you can't make it. Only the government can make it, right? What you can do is attract money. So how can you attract money? Investors, banks, loans, owner financing. How can you attract money to you? Well, that's a big part of what we cover. There's a 3-day training. Day 1 is all about the finding the property, finding it, filling it, getting the right staff. How do we get the money? All of those different things. We really do an intensive 1 day of information, because the second day we actually go out in the field and we learn it by doing. So this idea of attracting the money, here's a couple that is some of the private investors that I've worked with here, Mike and Francoise. And, think about it. They're retired. They're looking for something, not 0.5% of interest in a bank account. If they get 4, 5, 6, or 8%, they're happy to get that. And if you're able to borrow that money without jumping through the hoops of the banks and everything else that goes through with it, you're happy too. So attracting investors is a big part, and that they're looking for a return on their investment, or ROI, but it's not just that. They're also looking for a way that they can help other people. They can leave a legacy. So when you present yourself, it's not just how much money they can make or how much money you can make. It's also what they can do to help other people. So when I ask what's a good rate of return, I'm a certified financial planner. A lot of people tell me, well, 8, 10, 12%. What's a great rate of return? People will say, 12, 15, 20%. And I would agree. But we're going to talk about some numbers that are even higher than that. So this may knock your socks off a little bit, but let's assume we have a project that we're working on that all in for the real estate, the renovations, the startup costs, the carrying costs, the debt service, just to carry this and get it up and running is going to take $500,000. Now pause. If you're in California, that sounds like a small number. If you're in, the Southeast, that's the governor's mansion, right? So it's different strokes for different folks.
Right.
But yeah, get the number as a picture, 500,000 all in. Because realistically, even if it was $1 million, the debt service on the extra 500,000 is what, $3,000, something like that. It's not significant when you see the numbers we're about to talk about here. So if we use that 500,000 is what we need to raise in order to do the project, and we use this number, here's what's potential when you do the project, the ability to make $10,000 a month. That's where we're going to use, as I explained this, some of the ways you can finance this. One, you could purchase it with your own funds if you had $500,000. And if you had $500,000 and if you decided to use it this way, you could invest it. Could be your own self-directed IRA, by the way. There is no debt service. It's your money. So the $5,000 that you would have paid to somebody else goes to you, which means you're now making $15,000 a month. That's $180,000 a year. That's actually a 36% return on the investment. That's huge. Most people listening to my voice right now would only dream of making 36%, let alone year after year secured by real estate in a business that has customers literally being turning of age every single day. I was going to say dying to get in.
I know
I didn't
you
want
were.
to say that, Caught myself.
God, that was killing me.
Another way to do it is buy it with a 25% down payment. If you got the $500,000, that's awesome, but do it with less. Put up $125,000. That's 25% down. Finance the rest. And if you finance the rest, your debt service on that $375,000 is going to be well under $3,000 a month, which means you already set aside $5,000. That puts another $2,000 in your pocket. So that's $12,000 a month times 12 months, $144,000 a year. And if you only put up $125,000 and you make $144,000, that's 115% return on investment. Now again, I'm just going to pause. I'm a financial planner. I sit with a lot of people, and they're like crying in their soup saying, I can never retire. I'm going to have to work forever. The reality is, no, you just need to get smarter. You need to do something different. If you took your $125,000 that's sitting in an IRA or sitting in the stock market hoping it doesn't get obliterated with some silly move on the other side of the planet, why don't you just put your $125,000 to work, buy an assisted living facility, finance the rest, and make 115%?
Well,
Most
even
people,
though, did you see what's going on over in Russia right now, right? With, or the Ukraine. And they're freaking out because if they split the country, now all of a sudden you're talking about Europe. And it's so crazy, Gene. And this is kind of awesome to have you on here because when I heard that, I'm like, well, who cares? It's over in Europe, Gene. Why does that even, how does that even really impact us? And because you're a financial planner, you can actually explain this a little bit better than I think I can. Well, then I know that I can, but how does that impact us? I mean, so Russia goes and brings troops in, right? And that sends everybody sideways. How does that impact us though back here in America?
Well, there's so many levels I could take that conversation to, Pete. Where do you want to go? Real estate, stock, world economy?
No, just real estate. Well, here's why I'm saying that, because when we're relying on certain aspects to retire us, right? When this is the point I'm going down, is that with assisted living, no matter what happens with the economy, they still need a place to stay. They still need to be there. So it's not like because something happens over in Europe and the euro gets blown apart and all of a sudden you've got a meltdown over there. It doesn't change the fact that people still need to live here, right?
Okay, I'll give you that, no doubt.
Does
Could
that
it
make
affect this?
sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely, it does. Yes,
And so
you got it.
that was kind of my point that, I was just going off of what you had said, which was when you're relying on other things that they can go different ways. With this is a stable I mean, here, let's just break this down. You've been investing for how long? How long have you been doing real estate?
30+ years.
Okay.
30, yeah, long
And
time.
when I met you 6, 7 years ago, you had a ton of hold properties. You were flipping stuff. You were doing all kinds of different things in Phoenix and all around the country. And I think even around the world, because I think you had something going on in Brazil. But you got rid of all of that stuff and you put everything in to the assisted living. And I think that says a lot. And that's what I want people to understand is why you're doing what you're doing, why this is such a great opportunity because of the people coming in, because of the basically your captive audience that they're going to be 85 is going to be such a huge segment. The opportunity there is so amazing that, man, you're absolutely insane if you're not getting into this strategy in some way in your portfolio. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and there's even a lot of hedge funds and investment funds that are into this now. The interesting thing is when you get to that level where they're really putting in billions of dollars, they're only looking for 6 or 8%. And when you do it on your own and you can make 30 and 50% and 100%, now it becomes very exciting. Help people and make a lot of money.
Yeah, anyways, I just wanted to point that out because I think that a lot of times we rely on these things that we can complain about. It's like, well, I had my money in a 401k and then it went to crap. And so, here we are again. It's just like it was supposed to be. I can never do anything right. And it's like, well, stop
Mm-hmm.
doing that then. And let's start doing
Yeah.
something different. Like you said, you're not going to get different results unless you start doing different actions. And that's why we're doing the experts corner. That's why you're here, Gene. That's why we're talking to you, because this is a solution, a real solution, not a fake solution. And even though you're sitting there going, well, let's use these numbers and let's use 500 grand and we're gonna hypothetical everything. You don't have to hypothetical because you do have an actual deal. You do have real property that you're doing this with. I mean, you have a couple of them now, and you've got them going in not different directions, but you have one that you were putting
Yeah, we're
together
gonna
and
take a
building.
look
I know
at
you're
them.
going to go
Yeah.
into that stuff, but that's what makes this amazing. Is that again, we're bringing people in, experts in that are doing the strategies right now that they're talking about. This isn't hype. This isn't bringing you somebody that goes, "Hey, let me tell you about how this should work and how this is supposed to work." We're bringing people in that are saying this is how it does work because tomorrow when I go to my ALF, this is what I'm going to have to do. And I think that is super significant. And I want to point that out. So I will stop talking now. I'm sorry.
No problem. So I'm going to just continue right on though. This right
Yes.
here is the kind of the third option, and this fits right in with Coast to Coast, the whole philosophy of working with others and taking action. And it's really a matter of, if you don't have something, then find that other person that you can partner with to bring to the table what you need. So if you don't have cash or you don't have credit, partner with or joint venture with somebody who can bring that to the table. They provide that money or the credit that you don't have. So let's assume for a minute you paid an outrageous 12% interest rate. You don't have to do that, but it makes our math really easy. 12% a year is 1% a month, so 1% of 500 is 5,000 a month. If you even paid $5,000 a month and you're paying somebody else 12% interest, how much would you make? You'd still make your 10,000 because we already had 5,000 in there for debt service, so you're done. So you're still making 120,000 a year, but if you've got none of your own money invested, the rate of return on your investment is infinite. And having multiple streams of income or infinite income is a great way to go. And I'm a big believer in that, not just doing, one thing or one activity, but doing many of them. That's why I have more than one assisted living facility, and I've invested in different areas and different things, and everything from real estate to stock
But
and
also
business,
isn't, I
so
mean,
on.
when you have multiple facilities, you also get to do the because you have three, you can have one manager over three. So You get the wow, what is that called?
The economies of scale.
There you go. My favorite term too. I love that term, economies of scale. And here's a question real quick, guys, before I hand it back over. Are you guys finding this interesting? Are you learning something out of this? Is this not a really awesome strategy? And just go ahead and you can write back on the questions. I just want to find out, take a little poll here and see how you guys are doing. But go ahead and continue on, Gene.
Oh, no worries. So I'm glad they're going to answer that. So the big question at this point right now is, how fast can I do this? How fast can I get to the point where I can make this work? So one way is to buy land, design it, build it from scratch. That takes a long time. It's definitely not what I would recommend, 12 to 24 months. A better way, buy an existing home, and we can talk about that. I'll show you homes that we went out to see, and here's why I think it's good or not good. Buy an existing home, remodel it, get it licensed. That cuts your time in half, 6 to 12 months. An even better way is to buy an existing licensed home, so a home that is available right now, licensed, full of people, or could be full of people, and just buy it and take it over, and you own the real estate and you run the business. And then you could simply buy the property and lease it to the business. See, even in the class, and this is one of the things I love about the class, is we're sitting there with a group of people, and somebody's saying, well, I've got the money, and somebody else, well, I've got credit, and somebody else saying, well, I could run the business. And then they can partner together. Each one of them brings to the table what it is that the other ones need. And realistically, that is out there available to us in the world, but in the microcosm of the 3-day, all those people come together, and it just makes life so much easier.
But
that's
Gene, can I see him on a webinar?
No.
No?
You know what? You can't. See, that's just it. Real life, you get together with people, and I've never worked with somebody that I've never met face to face, right? I got to meet them. I got to touch them, feel them, see them, you eat lunch with them, Here's the best answer I can give to that. The idea of when somebody says, can I read it out of a book, or can I watch a webinar, or can I do a CD? When the police, I don't know, Sting, Andy Summers, when they all came to the U.S. for the very first time, I was a drummer, professional musician. They came to New York, and the very first place they played was Albany, New York, the capital of New York. So here they are coming from London. They're coming to play in my own backyard in a club that I have played at myself, and the police are coming. They're going to be there, and this is awesome. And the tickets were like $20. And at the time, I'm sitting there going, you know what, I really want to see them, but the CD is $20. And if I buy the CD, then I can listen to the CD 100 times. I'm going to buy the CD instead. To this day, age 53, like 45 years later, I still kick myself thinking, what a jerk I was, what an idiot. That one time, that experience to see them live, that was the only time. And I really do think that like a 3-day training, that experience of being in that room with those people at that moment, it's magical. And it's not like a concert that is just fun, but it's relationships that I make there may never, ever happen again. Like Pete, when you and I met, that moment, if we weren't there together, we never would have connected. And how cool is this? Here we are years later, still connected in a much bigger way. It's awesome.
It is. It is.
And
guys, I want you to understand the reason, one of the other reasons that I brought Gene on was because he was actually the very first mentor that I really had. And he gave me my first chance to speak up on stage. And, it's pretty awesome too, Gene. We've had a few people say that they really like this information. They said that I'm absolutely fascinating and you're kind of okay, but boring. But I mean, they loved the material though. They said they really loved the material, and that they said Gene is just really, he's just got great hair for a webinar that we can't see him. So, all I can say is that, guys, I couldn't agree with you more. I absolutely think that this stuff is fascinating. And I think that we do our best to deliver this in a way that is absolutely the coolest possible and make it impact you, because that's what we want to do. Look, this is all great, but in reality, what do we really want out of this? We want you guys to take a step forward in a direction. If you like this strategy, then hey, come with us. Let's go forward. Come out to the training. Come out and learn it. Let's get connected and let's create opportunities. And if not, that's okay too. You know what I mean? But it's about getting you to go forward. We want you to succeed. We want you to be successful, whatever thing that you like and you feel comfortable with. For us, we think this is a great strategy because it's cash flow. It's cash now. There's ways to do it with it's cash now, cash later. You're doing good. You're doing well. Man, it just, for me, this has everything. That's why I love this strategy so much. And I think that again, I just think you're crazy if you don't have this as some part of your portfolio because of what it can do. So, anyways, okay, sorry.
No, no problem. That's what this is all about, Pete. It's not. It's just a let's do it. So this right here, how fast can I do it? You know, if you just want to put up the money, you can be cash flowing day one. But if you want to do this, buy an existing home 3 to 6 months, and if you want to buy a home or remodel it, I'd say 6 to 12 months. Those are all good time frames, realistic right here. How to learn more? Come to a 3-day live training in Arizona. So what I wanted to do was, and this is new right here, Pete, I put this together because I want to give you an idea of what is happening during those 3 days. We're going to look at some pictures, but you know, day one is really classroom intensive. We get together, we're going to look at properties, we're going to talk about how do we find them, how do we find the right property, how do we find businesses that are available, how do we fund it, how do we put it together, you know, how do we talk about financing and present ourselves, what's the licensing process. And we usually have guests throughout the whole 3 days, but we'll be talking to facility managers, maybe caregivers, people that help place seniors in homes, realtors, all kinds of people along the way that I try to introduce you to that you can't do on a webinar. Once again, it's that live guest who
Right.
comes in, private lenders, you know, and the licensing and filling and staffing. Then day two, we go in the field. So we actually get in a van and a car or two, and we go out to see these properties. And I'll show you some pictures of the last trip we went out on and some of the properties there. But we go into the field, and we look at businesses that are operating. Because, again, you can talk about it, but until you walk through that front door and you smell the cooking, and I mean that literally because, you know, they're cooking lunch, they're cooking breakfast, or the cookies in the oven, and you see Mary sitting in the chair, and you I'll go up and introduce you and so on, and you meet
And it
John.
doesn't smell like an old person's house that you think
No.
that it's going to smell like.
Yeah, we make that a point to make sure it smells like a good home, right? And
Yes.
then we're going to look at properties that are in the process, so single-family homes that are being converted into it. And I'll show you. I don't know if I have any pictures of the in-between pictures right now, but they'll have to come see it. And then we'll take a look at homes that are available that could be converted, or assisted living facilities that are available right now to buy. And then day three, we take all that information, we bring it back, and we work on it. We try to put deals together that are real deals, not just hypothetical, but the property we saw, what do we like about it, what don't we like about it, how much renovation, how are we going to do the financing. Let's brainstorm 3 offers right now. Who in the room might be interested in being a part of it? So we put into action what we learn, and that's what day 3 is all about. And at the end of those 3 days, like Pete said, you're going to have intense, experience, relationships with people, connections, contacts. Some people come in with a property and they walk out with the confidence to know they can do it. And others walk in saying,
Like
I'm not
Alex.
sure if this is for me. Yeah, like Alex in Texas. And others come in saying, I'm not quite sure if this is for me, but they realize, wow, I really can do this because I saw it for myself. I felt it for myself. That's what it really takes. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump right into this. Pete, we'll talk about this all together right here, but this one right here is one of the properties that we saw that
That's right.
if I were to go, if I was to go level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would call this one a 2, 3. It's not in a great area. It was a fine area. It's not like it's the dregs or anything like that, but it's a plain box house. It's actually about, I think it was 2,100, 2,200 square feet, licensed for 10. You can see the garage on the left-hand side has been filled in. It's living space. I don't have any pictures of the interior to show you, but the gentleman who has been running the business that was here and is still there, he had been running this business for about 9 years, again, licensed for 10. His model was to accept insurance from the state. Now, each state has their own insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, and Medicaid. Medicaid is when somebody doesn't have money, money is given to them by the federal government. It goes through the state, though. So the state, Medicaid, goes to the state. The state then has its own program. In Arizona, they call that access, and they distribute it through this process here in what's called Alltech. So Alltech, he decided that he wanted to, in essence, work with Alltech clients. So these people who live in this home are all being paid for by the state. Now, the equivalent in residential real estate would be Section 8, right? People who can't afford to live someplace else, the government gives them a certain amount of money. So in this case, they all get about $1,600, $1,700 a month. So $16,000, $17,000 is his gross income per month. Now, that's not a lot. It's really not a lot, but the way he had his business running, he was netting about $5,000 to $6,000 a month. So $5,000 to $6,000 a month from that business. And what was really cool about it was because it's all tech and because not a lot of people like me want to accept that and that low, he's never empty. So if somebody passes away or somebody moves out, he fills it right up very quickly. And he also doesn't have to pay referral fees. Referral fees are typically 1 month, just kind of like a residential lease on a house. It's typically 1 month. So he's not paying referral fees. He's full all the time. That saves you a lot of money, too, in expenses. So this right here, you can see the $275 is what he was asking, but prior to us as a class even going into this home to see the home, I had already pre-negotiated with him down to $230,000. So when I brought people to this home, not only was it available, but I had already pre-negotiated it. The business was up and running, and that's for the real estate and the business combined. And I think one of the biggest benefits of this one was the owner himself, because he was actually in failing health, but he really wanted to pass on his knowledge and legacy, so he's willing to hold your hand and walk you through this process. And I thought it was really cool. So what do you remember about that property, Pete?
I remember that you know, the son was there. They were very, very informative, and man, the numbers that they had, like all of their books, were crazy immaculate. You just knew that these guys had a system and they had it dialed. And the great part was that the person coming on as an owner was going to be able to take on this whole system. So it wasn't like they were going, all right, here you go, washing their hands and walking away. These guys actually were saying, okay, here's the system. You can go ahead and take it over. We'll be here to answer any questions that you have for the next like year or two, and then you're going to be just fine. And in reality, I mean, honestly, taking this thing over, you had everything that you needed. So yes, it didn't have a huge profit margin in it like it could have because of the people that he accepted, but because he had that dialed in system, it made it so that he didn't need it. He didn't have all these marketing expenses and all these other things that we have in our homes. He didn't have. So it made it so that it was more cost efficient, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely, and a great guy. So that was one. So this right here is another, and this gives you the whole other side of the spectrum, if you will. Here's a house that we went to look at. Here's the actual listing. This one was on the MLS. So my realtor showed us this one. $825 is the asking price. In the center there, you can kind of see it says, I don't know if you can see. Can you see my cursor there on the screen?
Yeah.
I don't know. All right,
6
cool.
bedroom,
Beds and
5
baths.
bath.
Yeah, 6 bedroom, 5 baths. It says bedrooms plus 9. There was so much extra space, place that could have been, bedrooms that they weren't even calling that. A big, huge house, 5,100 square feet, big, huge house. And this house itself, we went to see it. And Pete, what was your thought when you went to see it? What did you think of it?
I would have lived there. I mean, this thing was crazy nice. This is the one where we did some of the video in the backwater, right? Yeah. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is a different one though. But I loved this house too. This one was crazy with that pool, and at the end of that, it had the grotto thing going on.
Yeah, this is the backyard right here. On the left-hand side, I see a bocce ball court right there, where I'm standing at one end of the bocce ball court.
Yes. That's right. It also had a really nice flow through the house. So not only was it big, but it felt comfortable when you walked through it, as opposed to some of the houses that are big where you feel like you're getting lost or they don't feel homey. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now this section over here, this is garages. You actually enter it from this is circular drive, so over to the right off the screen. You would come in over here, and it's actually two-car garages, so parking for 4. And massive, like extra room. And what's interesting is, some of the students that attended this said that's the kind of house that I want to do. And that's what they're looking at buying, this type of a house, converting that into the assisted living facility. And that's really cool because a house that is 5,100 square feet, licensed for 10, keep in mind the other one was 2,100 square feet. So the home like this in a much nicer area, it's in Scottsdale and so on, you could get your $4,000 and $5,000 per person. So if you've got $4,000 times 10 people, that's $40,000 a month in income. And the vision here would be you have caregivers, but you might also have a chef who comes in and prepares food, and you've got, it's a much nicer place. So that's one of the places we went to look at. And again, I wanted to show you from the kind of the top to the bottom. Now, this one right here, this one here, Pearson 490. This is one that I'm working on right now. And I'll show you a picture a little bit later of one of the bathrooms that we redid. But this house itself, when we got it, it was 4,800 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 5 baths. But it also had one large room, about 30 by 36, that we wanted to convert it. So we converted it into 2 private bedrooms, 1 double bedroom, so 3 bedrooms in there. Also 2 half baths for the private rooms, and in addition, a family room. So it'll be the family room, and it'll have 3 bedrooms, all inside that one big, large, empty, great room. So when we're all said and done with this house, it'll have 9 bedrooms and 7 baths, but it looks just like a regular home in the front. And one of the things that you might all consider is that you don't have to buy the home. You could simply rent the home. So this is a website that I like to use. It's called Rent-O-Meter. You can see that at the top left-hand on the screen, rentometer.com. You just put in the address of the house, and then you put in the price that you're thinking of paying or the rent that somebody's asking and the number of bedrooms. And then hit Analyze My Rent, and it's going to show you basically, is your rent in line or is it too high or too low? So you can see from the little dial there, when I put in $2,500 a month rent to rent that place, it's basically saying that kind of the mid-range is that $1,500. So maybe up to, what, about $1,900, but $2,500, you're in the red zone, you're paying too much. But this house, again, is significantly larger and different than some of the other homes around it, so maybe a little bit difficult for this to tell, but at least it gives you an idea. So could I rent that home for $3,500? Yes. And then you wouldn't even have to buy it for the $490. So I just wanted to throw that out to you as well. Any comments on that one, Pete?
I absolutely loved that house. I thought that I think what you're doing with Pearson is amazing. And I think that it's interesting. You're basically going to have 9 one-bedrooms, right? So you're going to have all individual suites, and then one will be a double. Is that correct?
Well, each one of the rooms actually is large enough that each one of them could be 2 people in that room. And one of the rooms we're kind of laying aside for the caregivers to have live-in caregivers. So really there'll be 8 rooms available for residents. So we could go 8 private rooms. We could go, one of the rooms is the master. You could have a husband and wife in there. You could have double in any of the rooms. So this way we're going to be really flexible. You know, we'll just get as much money as we can. But when somebody comes in and if I'm asking $4,000, the most they can pay is $3,000, then I'll say, well, that'll be a shared room, and I'll put them in another room with somebody else. So we're going to do the best we can.
That makes sense.
But there's, yeah, a lot of flexibility in there because the rooms are, there's a lot of space, and the house is really well laid out. It's interesting just looking at this picture right here, knowing what we've just done with the front already, let alone the inside. It'll blow you away.
Oh,
Actually,
man, I'm
I did
excited
send you
to see
some videos. I sent you some videos. We're in the middle of doing a lot of renovation, but I'll show you a bathroom in just a bit. Now, here's one that we didn't get to go see, and I'll tell you why. This house right here, they're asking $850,000 for it. It's an assisted living facility. It's about, I believe it was 2,600 square feet, licensed for 10. I think they had 7 people living there, and their revenue was about $18,000, as I remember it. So it wasn't huge, but they're asking a huge price. And the guy who owns this, he's got his model where he's taking homes. He actually bought this for about $250,000. He probably put $80,000 into it, so he might be in for $350, let's call it. And now he's saying, well, now it's an assisted living facility. It's licensed for 10, so I'm going to sell it for $850. Now, I had already been in to see this one, so we had so many homes to see that you, Pete, we didn't get to see this on the last tour, but I wanted to kind of show it to people to say, okay, here's a guy who is trying to buy these, fix them up, turn them into homes, and flip them. I just think he's way overpriced. And
now,
so,
what should it be priced at?
That's a good question because the real estate is one piece, and then what is the value of the business? I'm going to show you one in a little bit where I paid $50,000 for the business, and the business was generating 20. But that was way low because I'm pretty good at negotiating. So
no, absolutely. But I was saying, okay, like I'll wait then and let you do the numbers on the other one instead of
all right, because I'll do that because that one, the business. And here's another one I went to go look at though. He said, here's the price for the real estate, and I said, well, how much is the business? He said, well, the goodwill on the business is $1 million. I'm like,
what?
Really?
The goodwill? What does that mean?
The goodwill, and I'm like, okay. So
well, the goodwill from me is like $2 million. I've never even heard that. That's crazy.
I wasn't gonna. Well, that's a good number for a corporate thing, you know, where you're talking about what's the goodwill for Apple Computer, but goodwill on a care home, I don't think so. I'm paying for cash flow.
Right.
So I wasn't going to pay $1 million because he's got good relationships with the neighbors, you know. So yeah. So okay, so I was wrong. This one's 3,500 square feet, licensed for 10, 850, but it's been on the market now for at least 6 months. 8 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. And again, it's not in a great area. It's not a huge house. It's
Is
not
it
nothing
full?
special.
Is it operating right now?
It's operating, but I seem to remember he only had like 6 or 7 people there, so it wasn't,
Oh, not even
you know,
full.
yeah, not even full. But the business is running, and there is definitely value in going through the effort of getting the business in place and ready to go. Now, here's another one we went to go see. This is kind of on the very low end. This is the cheapest one we saw.
Well, hold on real quick. And guys,
167.
if you guys have any questions, go ahead and type your questions into the bar. And just making sure that you guys are entertained, that you're liking what you're hearing, that this is interesting to you, and answering different questions, because I think this is awesome. I mean, you guys are literally, without being there right now, you're getting to kind of go around and see what some of these different homes look like. And to me, my big question to you guys would be, is this what you thought they would look like? Is this what you imagined when you said, "Oh, assisted living, I'm going to listen to that webinar tomorrow. Well, let's see what Pete and Gene bring to me." Is this right here, Cactus? Is that what you thought that you would see? And anyways, go ahead, Gene. Continue on,
it's
bud.
it's not what I thought I would see. I got to tell
Not
you,
me either.
when we went to go see this place, the neat thing about this was you walk inside, and it was formerly an assisted living facility, so it's not currently licensed. But you walk in, and everything is kind of set up for it. It's all a little bit funky, where the garage that you see there that's got the window, it's been converted. There's a little step down with a ramp. So it's all just a little bit odd, a little bit funky, but hey, it works. And this is the kind of home that you could easily get the $1,600-$1,700 a month per person in and be running it. So if you're paying $167,500 for the real estate, and you get the business up and running for $200 you can be in business generating $17,000 to $20,000 a month in revenue. That's a pretty good business.
Absolutely.
So that was one, and we all went through that and had our fun time looking at that one. So 2,250 square feet. Pretty much everything that had been added on at some point had then been made into a permanent part of the structure.
Yeah, this was the one with the different tile, right? Like tile throughout the whole house. Was this
yeah,
that one?
well, it's in an area of town where that would be very acceptable.
I understand that, but I'm just saying it was different types of tile throughout the whole house, right?
Yeah, and this one, where the picture is taken, they would have gotten run over by cars like 18 times because it was a really busy road and on the corner and the whole bit. I don't know how they got that picture. I don't know.
Oh my
Probably
gosh.
driving
Okay,
by.
I know. Yeah, that's funny. All right.
It was a drive-by. All right, so this one, I'm going to go ahead and give you a tour of this one right here. This is a house that I bought, and by the way, this is, I think, the next picture. Yeah, this one right here, Adagio Gardens. I spelled it wrong. Look at that on the bottom. Adagio Gardens, 500,000. When I negotiated this right here, again, it had been in business for a long time as Adagio House, and I bought it, and I negotiated 500,000 for the real estate and the business combined. And the reason why I did it that way instead of real estate and business and doing it separately is because I knew the price of 500,000 was a good value for the real estate and the business. As it turned out, the real estate was appraised for 450. That's what made the value of the business 50,000. But the business is really worth at least twice that, if not 3 or 4 times that, based on the cash flow. So I renamed it from Adagio House to Adagio Gardens, and you'll see why in a little bit. But here's the house itself, and you can see, it's just a plain house. It's in a decent area. It's got good access, a curved circular driveway in the front. It's actually about 4,200 square feet. That's the after picture. That's the before picture when we cut everything down. About 4,200 square feet in this house, and we actually did about, when it was all said and done, about $25,000, $30,000 in renovations and changing out furniture and so on, because I really wanted to step it up and get a better clientele, and I'll show you that and what I mean in just a moment. So the house itself is really cool, and then in the backyard, it's a nice big backyard, big pool that nobody ever uses. Wish they did, but they don't. And the gazebo out there, we tore it down, and I put up this little temporary one for now because I wanted to rebuild it in a nicer way. But we're really making it a garden, so there's lots of plantings along the back wall, and we've got shade trees and so on. Now, inside, just a regular house. So this is a double. This house has 11 bedrooms and 7 baths. So that's the configuration of it. This was one of the rooms that was set up for a double, so 2 people. It's about 19 feet long and about 12 feet wide, 14 feet wide, something like that. Not big, but plenty. It's all you really need. This one right here, this is a typical single bedroom. So I just want you to look at what's in the picture for a minute. You need a bed, you need a nightstand, you need a lamp, you need a closet. Those are the only things you need. In addition, we typically put a TV in each room. That's pretty common, but you don't have to. Just a bed, a nightstand, and a lamp, and a closet. Those are the elements of what you need to have in the home. So this room is probably, 11 by 12, 11 by 13, something like that. This right here, by the way, Pete, I don't know if you remember, but in Pearson,
Yeah.
The pink bathroom, when you came in, it was like everything was pink. I don't know if you
Yes.
saw it that way. This is the pink bathroom.
Oh my God. I
I
love
know.
that, man. That looks really, really nice. I mean,
Yeah.
the tile in the middle, and here's the thing that I think is really cool. I don't think that we think a lot about the fact that these people, when they go and they live there, they're almost trapped there as well, right? Because they can't just leave and go do whatever they want. So we need to make it a nice environment for them to live in. We need to make it a nice um atmosphere. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because that's where they are stuck, really, for lack of a better word, unless we take them somewhere else.
Well, and I appreciate what you're saying, but the idea of stuck and trapped, those are kind of negative terms. So,
No, yeah, well, I, okay, I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that. I mean that I was envisioning if I live there and it's like, man, if you have a problem, like this is where you are. And especially for the other house, right, where they were living on the insurance. Those
yeah,
people typically they may not have family that can afford to help them. They may be all by themselves. And so
right.
when they get put into a place and that's where they live, right? If it's
Yep.
in the ones that are by insurance only, they don't have a lot of options. And it just made me it kind of bummed me out for a second. And I
Yeah.
just thought about how different this looks compared to that other the other property, the 230 property that you had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm going to come back to what you just said because I'm guessing that most people don't understand the difference between insurance and the private pay. But since we're staring at this picture, this is one that I wanted to get the before picture and throw it in here, and I'm scrambling trying to get it. But just for everyone else's benefit, this bathroom itself, when this view, there would have been a very tight shower on the right-hand side. It was all pink tile, floor to ceiling. On the left-hand side was a vanity, and it was all pink, and everything was pink, pink, pink. So this right here, you can see on the ground. I wanted to try to get a picture where you can see from the floor into the shower, it just rolls right in. And that's because it's a walk-in shower or even a roll-in shower. So somebody with a wheelchair could easily just roll right in, transfer into a little plastic seat that's there, and shower. And they'll have assistance with that, but just you're making it more convenient, taking out bathtubs and making it walk-in or roll-in showers to make it easy for them. And putting in tile like this, it looks great, and it's not all that expensive. Even all of that apparatus on the right-hand side, that's $100 at Home Depot. So you can really do a lot of nice things, and it doesn't cost a huge amount of money. So,
Yeah,
but
and I think that that's awesome.
yeah, and I'll get that before picture and have it in there next time. But those of you who come out and see it, you'll get to see it for real. So, but the idea of private pay versus the insurance, each state, like California, the insurance for the people there, it's about $1,000 a month. In Arizona, it's about $1,700 a month. It's a certain amount per day. It depends how many days are in the month. But $1,000 a month, $1,600 a month is not much. The real way that you can make a lot of money in this business is by working with people that have private pay. So they're not indigent, they're not poor. They have some money, but either they or their family, and that typically means their kids who might be 50 and 60 years old, are going to be paying to have them being taken care of. So they'll be willing to pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month to be in a much nicer place that $1,600 a month will afford them. And that's what you're saying, Pete. The idea of if you're in a nice place like this, and there's nice seating areas, there's libraries, there's
You
nice
don't feel
kitchen
stuck
areas.
or
Oh,
trapped.
I would live there myself.
Yes.
I would live in a heartbeat, no doubt. So let's look at this, though, because I do want to – I kind of threw that picture in, but I want to go through this property here, the Adagio transaction, and I want you to see the numbers. So we talked kind of theoretical numbers before because I wanted you to get the cash flow. Now I'm going to go through real numbers on this deal so you can see exactly what went down. This was the HUD-1, so that's the closing statement, the money flow at the closing table. The real estate was $450, and again, that's because that's what the real estate appraised for. I actually borrowed over $450,000 to buy it. So I had a $300,000 first, a $145,000 second, a $70,000 third, and you're thinking, who in the world is lending money on seconds and thirds and so on? Well, again, I teach you how to do these things with or without your own money. But in this case, I actually borrowed about $516,000 secured by a piece of real estate that's only appraised at $450,000. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that, but let's just go with the obvious. That gave me $66,000 at the closing, which you can do a lot of things with. Now, I didn't get to go spend all that money. I had to use the money, and I'll show you where in just a moment. So that's kind of the cash flow of it there. When I walked into it day one, it was already in business. So the business was operating. I didn't have to start the business. It was already there. It was already licensed for 10 people living there. The gross income was about $24,000 a month. So that's an average of $2,400 per person. And remember I said at the very beginning, national average is $3,450. So this is way below, which means there's plenty of room to raise the rents over the course of time. Now, I wasn't going to just walk in and say, okay, Martha, you're paying $1,500 a month more. So it's more like we did some renovations and we raised the rent a little bit depending on what it is that they can handle and so on. And then 6 months later, we might raise it again, and a year later, raise it again. And then as new people came in, when somebody left and a new person comes in, they're in at the new rate. So the $24,000 is where we started. And the operating expenses of the business were actually lower than $14,000. It was closer to $11,000. But I raised the pay for the caregivers, and actually I had more caregivers than they did, better food, and so on. I just wanted a better atmosphere. So as the business owner, I made that decision to say, I'm going to spend more on my operating expenses. So $14,000 for the operating expenses left me with $10,000 NOI, which stands for net operating income. And it's important that you put it that way because most people, if they don't know what they're doing, would take out the debt service or the mortgage payment before this. You don't. You take it out after the net operating income. So $4,000 is the debt service. So the monthly payment is about $4,000 on that $516,000 in loans all combined together, which leaves $6,000 net per month. So for a business that I walked into day one, pretty cool that no money down, cash at the closing, $6,000 a month, that's a pretty good deal. The future, where this can go, I see it 12 months in, $30,000 a month. That's the goal. Now, whether I get there or not, we'll see. I'm at about $26,000 right now, but my expenses stay the same. I've already raised them before. My net operating income is what increases dramatically. Debt service stays the same. It's the net income that then increases very dramatically. So $12,000 a month. So this house started with $6,000. Now we're at $8,000, and pretty soon it'll be at $10,000 and then $12,000. But you get the picture. One deal can make you that kind of money. And that's why we get excited, because I can help people and I can do a good thing and do well, make a lot of money in the same time. Pete, you've been in this house a couple of times. What's your thoughts?
You know what? For me, when I came into that house, I really felt like it was a home. Besides the big giant red thing right when you walk into your right, that is the fire alarm deal that you're required to have by law. But besides that thing, it feels like a regular house. And you know, it's cool too because the people are very nice. I saw Bob, and then I saw there were two ladies that were on the couch, and I think there was another lady that was in her room. And you know, the cool part was that everybody was happy to be there. I mean, nobody was like passing notes going, "Get me out of here, I'm scared." Nobody was doing anything like that. You know, you weren't hearing any crazy things like got the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma. See, nobody was saying that. All right. So we didn't have Ben Stiller in there saying, she's going, "My fingers hurt." And he's like, "All right, well, now your back's going to hurt. You just pulled landscaping duty." None of that was happening at all. They,
forgive me,
in
Lord.
fact, I had my girls there. Haley and Madison were there last time. and your staff was like feeding them full of cookies. I mean, they were on a sugar high for like 3 hours after we left. There is nothing but just a ton of love in that house, which is, again, it's just amazing to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know, you mentioned the caregivers, and then there's John, the facility manager, and your staff and the people that are working there helping to take care of the residents are critical to your business success. So we'll talk a lot about that during the 3 days and get a chance to meet John and quiz him as well. It's very helpful to learn it firsthand.
Now, somebody
So
asked real quick, so zoning isn't an issue for this strategy?
with an assisted living facility, and every area is going to be different, meaning state and then city and town. So in Phoenix, for instance, you can have a home with up to 5 people in it any place you want. So residential neighborhood, home after home, up to 5 people. As soon as you go to 6 people, you can only, and 6 to 10 is the next level, you can only have one assisted living care home within 1,320 feet of another one. So that's a quarter of a mile. So zoning-wise, the first thing you do is when you see a house that you think might be good, is you call zoning and say, here's the address, can I do it in this location? They'll actually pull it up on a map, draw a circle around it, and say, yes, you can, or no, you can't, based on is there anybody else who has one. And if it's a yes, you can, great. The next thing is to lock that up. So you get an application in with the city, and then you begin the process. So
Awesome.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions that come up, feel free to just jump right in and throw them out.
I will do that, sir.
You got it. And there was one other piece to that too, zoning. If you have a homeowners association, right, and you know, here's the bottom line is that they may be nice now, they may be friendly now, you may be able to get it through or push it through now, but later on, if they change homeowner association management or who's in charge and whatever, they may decide that they don't like what you do and so on. So I avoid neighborhoods with HOAs, right, in general anyway, but just avoid them because you can get through the gauntlet now, but it doesn't mean it may not be a problem later. The city, as long as you can get it licensed through the city, that's what's important.
Got it. Now, you don't think that would be any kind of lawsuit coming up if you had a assisted living facility and all of a sudden they're kicking a bunch of seniors out of the?
Oh yeah, you could, but that's just it. I mean, I'm a peaceful,
you don't
want
to go through the pain in the butt. I got
it. Exactly, you know. And even if it is a homeowners association, because the reality is, here's the way most of the CCRs are written. It basically says the home has to be used for residential purposes only. Okay, this is a residence for seniors. That's what it is. It's not commercial property, and it's in a residential neighborhood. I can't do it in a commercial place. It can only be done in it's a residence. I'm not using it, but is it a business? Well, yes, it is, but it's a residence. So there it is. There begins the conversation, and the meetings ensue, and so on and so forth. I'd rather just pick a neighborhood that doesn't have an HOA.
Got it. That makes much more sense. Okay.
Yeah. So this property itself, just to kind of finish that, is, you know, buying it existed, and walking in, you've got cash up front, cash flow. And cash flow to me is really important, because I think in my real estate career over the past 30 plus years, you're always thinking about the money. It's usually not about the house and how wonderful this old restorated house is going to be, but it's so transactional. You know, you do the deal, you make the money, and then I'm out of work and I got to go find another deal. Where this one, it's really a business where you do it once and it's work. You got to get it done, right? It's not hard work and unbelievable work, but you put in the effort, you get it done, but then the cash flow is infinite. It just continues on. So I love that idea. And if that's something that you guys are interested in, you know, come on out for the 3-day training and I'll get you on the fast track, and Pete and Ivan and myself will help you with that. So now the question is, in that HUD-1, what happened to that $66,153 from the closing? And by the way, that's line 303 on HUD-1. You can see it down there. Well, here's what happened. Remember, I bought the real estate and the business for $500 combined. The real estate appraised for $450, which meant the business was $50,000. So I needed to use $50,000 of the $66 for the purchase of the business. But they had also collected some security deposits from some of those residents, about half of them. They don't collect the rent on the 1st for everybody. Some people pay on the 18th, some on the 5th, some on the 28th. So there was $6,710 prepaid that I got as a credit at the closing. So at the closing, I bought the real estate, but the business was $50,000, and I received a credit of $18,000 for the security deposits and $6,700 for rent, which means the net due to the seller for the business was really only $25,000. And that's a good case in point, because a lot of people don't realize that, if you're buying an apartment building and it's 100 units and everybody has a $500 down payment, security deposit, that's going to be transferred to you. So 500 times 100, there's 50 grand that you have available to you at the closing. And it's going to come to your side of the ledger. So somebody might be thinking, I need to put down 10%. Where am I going to come up with it? Well, there's 50 grand right there from security deposits. And if everybody pays the rent on the first and you close on the third of the month, guess what? You get 28 days worth of credit of the rent. That might be another $45,000. If you play it right, when you do the closing, there's $95,000 that's going to your side of that closing statement. There's your down payment. And a lot of people just don't even understand that, because, again, I've been doing this so long that it's second nature to me, but those are the kind of things we make sure that people really do realize.
That's crazy. A $90,000 down payment out of nowhere. Just poof.
Yeah.
And see, guys, here's the other thing is, anyway, you keep going. This is awesome, man. I love you, Gene.
I love you too, Pete. See, now we have a bromance going on here, and I love it.
Yes.
So the purchase of the real estate, just to pull it all together, was $450, and I borrowed $516, which meant there was $66,000 cash at the closing went to me. I used the $66,000 to buy the business for $50, but I also received a credit of $24,000 for the security deposits and the prepaid rent, which means at the closing I didn't get $66,000. I actually received $40,760, which is pretty cool, because that's what I call cash now. And then you've got the cash flow, and then I could sell it later on for the appreciation, or flip it right now based on the current cash flow. So once you get this thing up to $30,000 a month, now it is worth $650, $750, $850. Not like the other property that we saw that was 1,000 square feet smaller, only 7 people instead of 10, and collecting a lot less rent. So this you really could flip and make a few $100,000 on the flip. And if this is something you really do want to learn, obviously we've been talking a lot about coming out to the 3-day training. And, Pete, do you want me to go into this part now, or did you want to talk?
Yeah, no, I want you to, because I want everybody to realize right now that Gene, last night when I talked to him about doing this, because I'd had a few people email me and say, hey, can you spend some time on the phone with me and explain to me the training? And, I talked to Gene, and we had like 2 spots, I think, left. And so I said, well, you know what? Let me talk to Gene. Let me see if I can put together a webinar, and we'll go into real depth. Like, it'll be fun and it'll be different. And so I asked Gene about this yesterday, and he goes, yeah, no problem. And I know what he's thinking, right? Because every one of his webinars are like 45 minutes on the dot, man. Just on the dot, they're 45 minutes. And so I tell him, I'm like, well, yeah, just book out about 90 minutes. And he's like, oh, I've never had him respond to me this quick. I don't think we're going to need all 90 minutes, though. And I go, Gene, just book it out. Trust me, this will be fun. And if we don't, we don't. No problem. And right now, we're at like 80 minutes going into, and you're not even done. I told you this was going to be long, but it was going to be fun. And you're having fun, right?
I always have fun. You know that.
Okay, good. Then go ahead and keep going. You're doing fantastic.
Well, I'm just going to make sure that people know, if you're really serious about learning how to do this, the question is, what's it cost? What's the investment? And that's the way I see it, guys. It's not a cost, it's investment. If you're willing to invest in your own education, your own skill set, if you're really serious about real estate and serious about business, you're going to make commitments. You're going to make investments. And if you're not serious, you won't. It's really just that simple. There's a lot of tire kickers out there, and a lot of people who say they're going to do stuff, and they never, ever do. And unfortunately, a lot of them have paid $100,000 for trainings and still haven't done anything. So when I put this on the screen, what I'm about to share with you here, this is a really, the price that I'm going to put on the screen, because of the way Pete and Ivan operate, the way they pass things along to you, this is kind of if you're interested at all, do it. And if you're not, don't kid yourself, oh, I'll do it later. No, you won't. Life is never going to get less busy. The last time you had nothing to do for 3 days, you were sitting under a tree looking at clouds smoking a doobie. Let's face it. You're probably 15 years old, and there's nothing else to do. Guys, those days are over. If you really want to do something, you got to make the investment of the time and the money. So what's the value? That's the way I see it. The investment is one thing, but what's the value? Well, what is the value if you're making 40,000 in a deal and you're making 72,000 to 144,000 in a year? Is that worth 50,000 or 100,000? And I say absolutely yes. And I know hundreds of thousands of people out there do this every year, meaning go to college for 4 years and they spend $100,000 on their education, and they don't come out with a signing bonus of 40 grand and net income of 72,000. They're lucky if they even get a job and don't have to have food stamps. Now, I'm not even talking about going 4 years. I'm saying 3 days. I'm not even talking about let's go ahead and invest $100,000. Not at all. But if you're not willing to do a few days and a few thousand, then let's just be real. It's probably not for you because it's going to take some effort. So it's not going to be anywhere close to that. And what is it? Well, when I decided to do this, I said, Pete, you know what? I have been the person who is the fulfillment for the Donald Trumps of the world and all these other people that sell it at big, huge prices. And I'm not going to name all the other names and so on, but they charge $30,000 for it and pay me $5,000 to actually do the training. I'm like, I can do the live training myself and do it for $5,000. And he said, well, that's great, but we want to give our people a discount. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, we like to give them a big discount. So the coast-to-coast members or friends of discount is $1,500, making it $3,497. And that includes a partner. So if you have a family member, business partner, somebody you want to bring with you as your partner, you're welcome to do that. $3,497. That's a tremendous value. And Pete's twisted my arm once again, and it's going to get a little bit better in just a minute. But for those of you that are serious about that, here is the website that you would go to, c2cigroup.com. Let me spell that out. C, the number 2, the letter C, igroup.com. c2cigroup.com. And when you go there, you're going to see a website, a sign-in page there, pretty simple. You'll see a video, put in your name, address, I'm interested, and I'm going to give you a code word in just a minute. You will want to have this, so wait just a minute here. What you'll learn during those 3 days, you know, day 1, we're going to be intense in the classroom. Day 2, we're going in the field. Day 3, we put it all together. Well, what you're going to learn is how to find the best opportunity for assisted living facilities in your area. I'm going to show you how to find the nitty-gritty in your area so we can make it happen there. How to determine if you own a property that's right for an assisted living facility, what to look for, what makes it right, what makes it wrong. How to attract investors and partners, not make money, but attract people with money to invest in these projects. And how to find the right team, the caregivers, the facility managers to make your life easy. And how to fill your assisted living facility with the highest paying clients, and how to keep them there too. And how to do it with or without your own money. You know, money is really not an issue when you have the knowledge. And if you don't have it, I can provide it. And if you need contacts, well, that's what Coast to Coast is all about. And the fast track, really, it's all about doing your first deal in 3 to 6 months. And I say 3 to 6 months, but you may end up doing it in 1 month. But 3 to 6 months is a realistic number from today. And can you imagine in 6 months having a $10,000 net income on top of whatever it is you do? Because I don't work 40 or 60 hours a week at the facility. I've got a number of them, and I do a number of other things too. So if I spent 5 hours a week, that's a lot, right? So doing one deal and being set for life, that's what you'll learn how to do. And when we go into the field, it's a small group because we're going to be in a van, and when we're traveling there to and fro, we can't have a full bus full. Ivan's there, Pete's there, I'm there, and so on. And here's the website, c2cigroup.com. So when you go in, it's really simple. First name, last name, state, email, I'm ready, click it. And then when you click it, and again, you can bring a partner, bring a spouse, bring a friend, come, we're going to enjoy ourselves, go out to dinner. Like Pete said, we've been out to ball games. I want to get us out to a football game. We've been out to fireworks displays. We've been out to balloon fests.
That's
barbecues.
right, fireworks.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Very cool. So we go out and have a fun time because it's not just, hey, 5 o'clock, I'm out of here. It's 5 o'clock, let's go somewhere and hang out and have some fun. So when you go, there's a code word I want you to put in, and here it is, EXPO, EXPO. And when you put in that code word, after you go to c2cigroup.com, here's what's going to happen. That $49.97 has already been reduced via Pete through the coast-to-coast discount to $34.97. When you put in that code word, and that code word will not be up there for long. If this is something you're interested in for this upcoming training, and it's March 7, 8, 9, Friday, Saturday to Sunday, 7, 8, 9, then you're going to get an additional $1,000 discount. That makes it $24.97, and that includes your partner. That is a phenomenal, phenomenal deal. It should be 10 times that. And realistically, the next time I offer it, it certainly could easily be twice that. So the $49.97 will probably be what the price is coming up very, very soon. But guys, if this makes sense to you, do it. And if you don't want to be a part of this and don't want to learn anymore, that's okay too. I really don't need more competition. But I'm having a lot of fun doing this. And I know that there is room for thousands and thousands of these all over the country. And realistically, you're going to end up either doing it and providing a place for yourself and your family, or you're going to end up paying somebody else $5,000 a month to live in their home and kicking yourselves saying, I could have owned this place. I could be living here for free. Because that's kind of in the back of my mind. It's like, where am I going to go when it comes time? You know, where's my mom going to go? Yeah. So provide your own place and do it for yourself. Do it for them. You really just have one decision to make. You know, is this make sense? Is this something you want to take advantage of? It's a huge, massive mega trend, and it's either you or me, but somebody's going to do it. So if you like the idea of doing good and doing well, go to c2cigroup.com. Make sure to put in the word expo in the code for that $1,000 discount. So there it is. That's pretty much everything that I wanted to make sure to share with you here tonight. And we did talk a little bit about, or a lot about, the 3-day training itself. If anybody has any last questions, now's your chance.
Absolutely.
Give those to me.
Yeah, and I will as soon as anybody does. If you guys do have any questions, please let us know, because the last thing that we want to do, though, is keep you on here for no reason. So we're going to go ahead and end this in the next 2 minutes. Unless you guys have more questions, we're gonna just go right through it. I want to tell everybody thank you for being on the call tonight too. I mean, it's amazing. We have 25 people on this call, and we just set it out yesterday, I think it was,
Awesome.
to put it on there. So it really shows me that this is a need, that you guys are interested in what we're doing, what we're talking about, and the excitement level of what we have going on. So I want to tell you guys thank you very much. I know Gene says thank you very much. Not a problem, Vicky. I'm glad that you appreciate it and you liked all the information. With that, though, guys, it looks like we pretty much answered everything, Gene. So I think that we're good to go. I want to thank you guys for being on tonight. I want to thank you guys for being part of the Experts Corner with Pete Asmus and tonight's host, Gene Guarino. Guys, have a great night, and we will see you later.